Last summer, my friends and I tried to spend 24 hours at a park inside a cardboard fort we built near the woods. Around 8 p.m., one of them bailed after hearing noises by the swings. I stayed, determined to finish the challenge. Around 10:34 p.m., I noticed flashes of light hitting the front of the fort. On, then off, like someone running toward it with a flashlight. I leaned out and saw a man in all black sprinting straight at me. No hesitation, no sound, just running. I bolted, leaving everything behind. When I came back the next morning with my dad, the fort was gone. Every piece of cardboard gone. But my backpack was still there, zipped open. Used to walk my dog every night around 10:30. It was quiet, just crickets and the sound of his leash dragging when he slowed down to sniff something. One night, near the corner of Elm and 3rd, I noticed movement on the opposite sidewalk. A man was crawling on all fours, keeping perfect pace with me. I thought maybe he was drunk until he stopped, tilted his head, and started grinning. His hands were raw, his knees bloody, but he didn't stop crawling. I yanked my dog and ran. The next night, there were drag marks on the sidewalk. The night after, they reached my driveway. I used to walk my dog every night around 10:30. It was quiet, peaceful, until last Thursday. Halfway down the block, my dog stopped, ears up, growling at something behind a parked car. I didn't see anyone, but the streetlight flickered, and for a split second, I swear I saw someone crouching there, barefoot, watching me. I tugged my dog and walked faster. When I got home, I locked the door, heart pounding. Later, I checked my Ring camera. The footage showed me and my dog walking, but about 20 feet behind us, a man was crawling on all fours, keeping pace the entire way. Moved into my new place on September 14th. It's small, old, but affordable. That night, my landlord texted me. "Just so you know, there's been weird activity around lately. Lock up tight." I laughed it off. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up to a faint rattling upstairs. It sounded like pipes at first, but it had a rhythm, too uneven to be mechanical. It was coming from the bathroom. I turned on the light. Everything looked normal. I was about to leave when I heard it, slow, shaky breathing. I froze. It wasn't mine. I followed the sound until I leaned over the sink. The breathing was coming from the drain. It happened on a Thursday, around 3:40 p.m. I had just gotten home from school and went straight to my room to charge my phone. It was at 2%. A few minutes later, I realized I had to use the bathroom, so I went downstairs to the one in the basement. When I was washing my hands, I heard footsteps upstairs, heavy ones. At first I thought maybe my mom got home early, but then I heard two men whispering, low voices, calm, like they didn't care if they got caught. I froze. My phone was still upstairs. I waited maybe 2 minutes, heart pounding, before I quietly unlocked the basement door to the backyard. The moment the hinge creaked, a man's voice behind me said, "Hey, get back here." I didn't look back. I just ran barefoot into the snow. Last October, my friends and I went ding-dong ditching around 11:45 p.m. It was our last house of the night, a small, one-story place with the porch light off. I rang the bell and sprinted behind a parked car. No one came out. As I turned to whisper to my friends, I realized they weren't there. The street was empty. Then the front door creaked open. An old man stepped out, slowly scanning the street. I ducked lower. He didn't move for a full minute, just stood there, staring toward the car I was behind. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have run." I looked up. He wasn't on the porch anymore. Last summer, my cousins and I played hide and seek in my aunt's house while the adults were outside by the fire. It was around 9:30 p.m. The only rule was no hiding in the basement. It creeped everyone out. When it was my turn to hide, I went upstairs and squeezed into a closet. I could hear footsteps below, slow, heavy ones. I thought it was my cousin pretending to scare me, until I heard the front door creak open. A minute later, someone whispered, "Found you," right outside the closet. The voice was low, male. When I pushed the door open, no one was there, just wet footprints leading from the basement stairs to the front door, which was now wide open. It's Halloween night, around 8:40 p.m. I just started handing out candy when I heard one last knock, slow, deliberate. When I opened the door, an old man stood there. No costume, just a faded flannel, jeans, and a pillowcase in hand. I hesitated, but then realized his face looked off. Too smooth, too tight. It wasn't skin, it was a mask. A realistic, skin-colored mask. Trying not to stare, I held out the candy bowl. He opened his pillowcase, and I froze. It wasn't empty. It was filled with maggots, writhing over each other. When I looked back up, he was smiling, wide and silent. I slammed the door and locked it. No one else knocked that night. But in the morning, the mask was lying on my porch. Happened last December. I was driving home from work around 11:30 p.m. when I noticed a car behind me with its high beams on. It stayed close, following me through every turn. I finally pulled into a gas station, thinking they'd pass, but the car pulled in too. I got out and started walking toward the store when I heard a door creak open behind me. A man's voice quietly said, "You dropped this." I turned. He was holding my wallet. But my wallet was already in my pocket. When I looked back up, the man wasn't there. The only thing left was my wallet, laying open on the ground. It was around 11:45 p.m. last Halloween. I was sitting on my porch, handing out the last bit of candy. The street was empty except for one kid, or what I thought was a kid, slowly walking toward my house. He wore a cheap skull mask and carried a small pumpkin bucket. When he reached me, he didn't say a word, just held out the bucket. I dropped candy in, but it made a dull thud, not the usual rattle of wrappers. Then he turned and walked away. The next morning, I noticed something on my porch, a small, bloody tooth sitting beside a single candy wrapper.